to show you that the purpose of going in the ring is for you to experience it, but also because I wanted to go over what the role of different participants is in full contact fighting. For example, the fighter who his total objective would be just to prepare for his fight, or that should be all that he has to concern himself with. Then you have a trainer. It's very important that you know how to select the proper trainer. So what I did is I looked at what he was producing. In other words, your trainer doesn't have to be an excellent fighter himself. Obviously, Dundee is not a fighter. So you just have to look at what is he producing. Are his fighters good? If you like the way they fight, if you like the way what their style is, then anyway, well, I had several trainers, but one of them. Am I catching anything yet?
Why your thumb?
Anyway, what was I saying about the trainer? What I did was I had several trainers, but I went, for example, if I was going to box, I went to a professional boxing gym. And if any of you are interested in fighting or just want to learn boxing, you usually find a boxing trainer at a gym. They won't usually charge you. Most of the time, they just believe that you want to fight one day, and when you do fight, they will bring you the next place. But what I was going to say was, watch, depending on your body type, see what type of style you train, because it depends. Some trainers teach you to be more dancer. Other trainers, most of the Latin trainers are more in-type fighters, because that's sort of the style, overall Latin style. So what you want to do is see what his style is and see if you think it's going to be good for you. Also in the ring, you have a second. The second is the assistant to the trainer. And the role of the second is very important, just as important as the trainer. In fact, if you don't have teamwork in the ring, you can lose a fight just because of your cornerman. Okay? Because it's very important. Because I don't want to talk too much when we get over there. What we're going to do is we're going to have one person play the role of the referee. Okay, so you know what it is to. And what you do is you don't let them clench and hug each other for too long. If they get in there and you see they're not doing anything, you break it up. You also, it's very important for you to be very tuned into the fighters. You should see nothing more than the fighters, because if somebody gets hit and you see their eyes glazed or they're starting to roll up, then you know to jump in and stop the fight. Okay? And also to look for foul tactics. Somebody can headbutting the other guy or letting low or using his elbows, anyone looks at things like that. Okay, back to the second. The second, what he does is, you have to remember when you're fighting, I don't care if you're going 3 rounds or 10 rounds, you have 1 minute. You have 60 seconds between when the bell rings and you turn and go to your corners. Okay, so as soon as that bell rings, you have to already be trained not to lollygag around, but as soon as the bell rings, you turn around and you go walk directly to your corner. You'll know where it's at. Okay, and by that time, the second he'll have a chair out for you to sit. If you're sitting, okay, he'll have his hand out, and as soon as you reach where he's at, pulls your mouthpiece out, and you sit down. Your trainer props your legs up to start massaging and get the circulation going. Your second is behind you, massaging your back. Okay, and by then you should have rinsed your mouthpiece, rinsed your mouth. Okay, and the role of the trainer is only to focus in on your strategy. He should have, let's say we just finished 1 round. What his role was to scope out the other fighter and to decide immediately, okay, we got a dancer on our hands, this guy's a stalker, he's got an incredible right. And to size up your opponent, because you won't always have the luxury of knowing beforehand, oh, I'm fighting a stalker, or I'm fighting this guy's a southpaw. A lot of times I used to fight and they would say, this girl's a southpaw, she's, so tough, or she's an orthodox fighter. I'd get in there, this happened to me once before. After the fight I said, I don't understand, something was really orthodox fighter. She fought off the right knee the whole time. I didn't even tell what was going on, but fight. But a lot of times you'll train. So I don't really ever care that much about my opponent. Some people get freaked out. They get too dependent on, how tall are they? What is their style? Are they a dancer? Etc., etc. All I want to know is how tall they are and what their weight is. That's it, because that gives me a lot to go by. You can't really change that. They can change other things, as far as how they fight. Like they tell you they're southpaw, you train just to fight southpaw, then you're in trouble when you go in there and they're left lead. Does everybody understand what it's southpaw? So anyway, besides sizing up your opponent the first round, he also has to look at you and tell you what you're doing wrong. Again, I've seen typical, I don't want to say typical, but a lot of boxing or kickboxing full contact trainers, I've seen the fighter turns around, goes back, and the trainer slaps the fighter and says, "You're fighting like, I want you to go in there, show me how to guts, I want you to hit him hard, and don't be a sissy, come on, everybody's watching you can make me look bad." That's one way a trainer relates to his fighter. That's not a good way, because it might pump the guy up, but you're not helping him at all. The trainer is the third eye. Okay, he's on the outside looking in. So what he does is he's supposed to say, look, you're doing whatever, but you're dropping your left. You've got to keep sticking him with the left. Or you're moving to the inside. He's a southpaw. Move to the outside. So he's got to be your eyes in a sense, because you're in it. You're too close. You're in the action. Okay, so it's very important that the trainer be sharp, that he be able to see that, so that he can direct you. And what else? I'm not trying to rush because I want to get out there. But the other thing we didn't cover, we didn't get to physically go through, but I'll just quickly give you a few tips and then we'll go over there. If you're short and you're against a taller person, your objective is using the kick to try to get inside. You can use your kicks to close the distance. You can use your body movements where you're faking and to get inside. And use your timing. When a person kicks at you, they're going in, or when he punches at you, you can bother them to get inside. If you're the taller person fighting a shorter person, then what you try to do is keep the person from getting inside. You can use your kicks, usually the lead leg is excellent, keep the person out as soon as they try to come, or you can use your jab. Every time you try to move, you just pop it.
And then Carlton Shaw on that.
Another thing I want to talk about is mental attitude. Okay, before you fight, a couple things should happen. One, everybody's psychic is different, so you might prepare different than the next person. So you sort of have to find what works for you. Some people want to be completely isolated. They want to, right before the fight, they want to take a moment to meditate and just sort of focus in on what they're doing. Other people can't stand there alone. Yeah, I was the type of fighter. I had to have people around me, just not think about what was going to be happening. But then right before the fight, I would take a moment, and no matter how good you are, no matter how strong you are, you're scared. And when you're nervous, those are healthy feelings. If you're not nervous, you're not scared, then you should worry. I'm serious, because one time where I was real nonchalant and I'm going to get this fight over with, I fought worse than any other time before because I didn't feel threatened. I was just in there, I knew I could overpower my opponent. I knew she was that experience. It was one of my worst fights as far as the way I performed. And when I fight, I see different performance also. So what you want to do is take a moment and just pull all your energy in. And what I would do is think about everything I've been through before you fight. And when I would get nervous or I would get scared, I'd think, God, this girl looks so big, and she's 5'3" and a half, and she's 5'9" and a half, and the weigh-in. Usually you have a weigh-in right before the fight. That's where they try to psych you out, stare you down, or they make remarks about you or how they're going to chop you up, and all that stuff to try to scare you. So by the time you get in the ring, you're going, like this. Everybody knows Spinks is a good example of that, and Tyson. And so what I would do is, to pump myself up, I would start just visualizing, thinking, remember all the days you got up and done, remember all the push-ups you did, remember all the blows you took, remember all the times you got hurt, in the gym. Well, darn, nobody's going to beat me now because I've invested all this time and energy, and even if I were fighting 10 rounds, which I went from my first 5 to 6 rounder to a 10 rounder 2 weeks later, and I had to go the distance. I couldn't knock my opponent out. So, a lot of it was mental. A big part of the fight game is obviously mental. Is you believing in yourself and saying, darn it, I've done my homework. As long as you've done your homework, you know you're going to do good. And if you have a good attitude, even if you haven't done your homework, you'll do good. Because I sometimes had to take fights on 1 week's notice. And I was shaping everything. And I know in class I mentioned about the time I went to Hong Kong with Vinny and Akita's big group, and we went there for holiday to do an exhibition and we were challenged. And a week later we were fighting in Rio. So, a lot of it is your attitude and your mental state of mind and how you feel about yourself. And one last thing I'll say about, fighting, you as a fighter, your opponent, the way you relate to your opponent, everything's different again, but I always respect my opponent because I feel that anybody who goes through what I know I went through there deserves my respect. So when I fight in the ring, I never go in with the attitude that I want to kill them, I want to hurt them, I really want to physically hurt them. What I do is I think that we're both in here as like 2 warriors, and we're going to show our stuff and the best person win. But, I think that sportsmanship is really important, how you treat your opponent. And every time I say that, people say, well, it sounds like a contradiction because you have 18 knockouts. But I think one of the reasons that I do a lot of knockouts is because I don't go in there trying to knock people out. So it just sort of happens. And so it's real important that you go in there with the right attitude. And the thing is, you have to remember that fighting is a solo sport. You have a trainer, you have a support system around you, but when you step in the ring, there's no one in there except you. Nobody else can fight for you. So that's why it's so important that you believe in yourself and believe in your ability to accomplish what you set out to do. Because your trainer can't punch for you, your trainer can't slip a punch for you. You're the one who can do it. What I wanted to do today is there anybody that's opposed to going in the ring? There's a lot of us, so what we're going to do is just rotate everybody. We'll have what we're going to do is role play. Okay, we'll have 2 fighters each time, and we need 2 trainers, and we need 2 seconds, and we need referees. Okay, so what we're going to do right now